In spite of the efforts made by the Surinamese government to connect, no African nation has made an attempt to establish diplomatic representation in Suriname as of February 2024. This lack of diplomatic representation highlights the limited political and economic ties between Suriname and African nations. Suriname is one of the most verdant countries in South America and is home to descendants of enslaved people, namely the Creole and the Maroons, whose ancestry was from various parts of Africa. The people who were able to escape the Dutch bonds of slavery into the jungle are known as Maroons, while the people who served and put up with the circumstances of slavery until it was abolished are known as creoles. The yearly Maroon Day celebration pays tribute to the history and contributions of the Maroon people to Suriname. The Surinamese Maroon culture is one of the best preserved African ancestral heritages and customs outside of Africa. It is important to note that most Africans do not refer to themselves as Maroons. They usually opted for liberatory, powerful names such as Nyankipong Pickibu, which means children of the Almighty, in Twi, or Boni's people, or simply Africans. His Excellency Vice President King Ronnie Brunswick is the first person of Maroon heritage to occupy the office of president since the country's independence on November 25, 1975. He invited traditional leaders from all the regions of Africa to join the celebration in Suriname on October 10, 2023. The journey, which could have taken 6 hours, took days to get to Suriname due to the absence of diplomatic and trade relations. In fact, many invited traditional rulers could not attend due to the constraints and conditionality of the required airport transit visa for the Netherlands and other EU countries.
Nevertheless, African traditional leaders were committed to reconnecting ancestral ties and determined to establish diplomatic and trade ties with Suriname. The African Royal Kingdom's delegates were deeply moved, and in the following interviews, they each expressed their gratitude for the opportunity to reconnect with the Maroon people and urged for the unification of all Afro-Surinamese without prejudice or exemptions, as well as reconnecting cultural ties with Africa. They also emphasized the importance of preserving and celebrating their rich history and traditions together as a necessary step towards healing. The program was organized by the African Views Organization, a non-profit organization consisting of committed activists who are passionate about rebuilding the bridge and reconnecting the ties of empowerment between Africa and its diaspora and within the Afro-Surinamese community.
All right, good morning, everybody. And we are joined by Chief Malinga from the Zulu Kingdom in South Africa. And we are going to be talking to him about his take on the Suriname, on his trip to Suriname, which was on October 10th of 2023, in conjunction with the Maroon Day. And Chief Malinga, we will be asking for what your 2024 outlook looks like in conjunction with everything that you witnessed in Suriname, as well as the works that you have already been in play with as, you know, one of the chiefs in South Africa. Sir, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Tinashe. Thank you for having me. And in South Africa, it's evening. Good evening to you and your viewers. Good evening to Dr. Wale. Hope we are all well, and the compliment for the new season.
Thank you. Certainly, compliments to the new year. It's a leap year, which does call for a lot of good energy in terms of any sector, rather. Now, in conjunction with your trip to Suriname, could you shed a little bit more light of what that trip looked like to you?
Well, let me start by passing our gratitude to the art for arranging such tremendous work. organizing the event, the Heritage Day that we attended in Suriname. I might be repeating what I've been always saying. Heritage Day is one of the African most celebrated holiday. The locals celebrate by appreciating the diversity of customs and tradition. They wine and dine, visit a tourist site. They also post happy Heritage Day messages and memes on social media. No one truly knows a nation until one has been inside its jail. A nation should not be judged by how it treats its highest citizen, but its lowest one. I will say King Ronnie has been doing exactly that. We salute His Excellency for putting his people of Suriname first more than anything else. But we also appreciate the reception that we receive from the governing party, the cabinet ministers, as well as the people of Suriname in general, because we're privileged to visit a few villages. I was also privileged to have a conversation with King and the Vice President just to reflect on build-up events leading to the main day of the event. Amongst other things is his passion at transferring our indigenous knowledge and the history to the young generation. We are also cognizant of the fact that our children are our greatest treasure. They are our future. Those who abuse them actually tear the fabric of our society and ultimately weaken that particular nation. We as African leaders want to believe that King Ronnie dedicated that particular event to all heroes and heroines in this community, in his community, and the rest of the country, who sacrifice in many ways and surrender their lives so that people from Suriname could be sitting in a setup as Afro-Suriname and Maroon community, celebrating their own identity as African people.
Thank you for that. You mentioned a good point when you talk about transferring indigenous knowledge, because South Africa is in the Zulu kingdom, extremely rich in culture, which to this day is very strong when it comes to preserving heritage, preserving the arts and cultures even through music, through sports, through that unity. Now, for 2024, how do you think you, in your role as the chief, how are you going to expand on that in terms of transferring this type of indigenous knowledge to the youth so that we can continue preserving it further? So Chief Malinga is he's the chief, right? Zulu chief. He's a Zulu warrior chief, and he also has the following titles for the benefit of our audience. He's the head of the Kwaho admin area, the chairman of the Simelane Traditional Council, senior traditional leader in the Zulu Kingdom, member of the Zululand House of Traditional Leaders. He's also the senior warrior of the Zulu Traditional Regiment, Amabuto, secretary of the Union of the Zulu Regiments, Umubano Lwezinduma, Treasurer General of the Congress of Traditional Leaders of South Africa, and he is a member of Contralesa, and he's also a vital part of African Views.
Well, we took that experience as our point of departure. There's still a lot that needs to be done. We have an electricity problem in South Africa. they gave it a very romantic word. It's a load shedding.
Ah, that is very
So
romantic way of describing that situation.
that was the electricity shutdown. But I was saying our experience during our visit at Suriname, we take that as a point of departure, and we are cognizant of the fact that there is still a lot to do. In fact, we strongly believe that traditional leaders must take a center stage in all governing structures, starting from AU up to the UN. So the reason why we're saying this is because the traditional leaders are original government of the land. We actually existed before any colonial system. We also existed before any political formation. So hence I'm saying our African people need to go back and pick up their pieces. By so doing, they will restrict their own identity to identify themselves as who they are. And that's what needs to be done.
And that's extremely important for the Africans to regain their identity, because we do have a lot of Africans in the diaspora as well. And there's a whole embedment of the different cultures that comes along with it. Now, in an effort to preserve this heritage, how do you think technology will come into play, especially if you did mention that, you know, the traditionalists, they did come before the governments that have been formed right now. They are the realms of how a country can preserve its culture. Now, with the youth of today, their communication is mostly through technology. It's mostly through social media. How can that be married together such that they understand that there's an importance of preserving culture?
What we need to do, we will remember that identity and heritage are key components of culture, which include the knowledge, belief, art, moral, law, custom, or any other capabilities and habit acquired by African men as a member of society. Hence, we need to talk more of our culture as African people to our young one. That must also be cascaded to our educational system. The African culture embraces a wide range of human phenomena, material, achievement, and norms, belief, feelings, manner, moral, and so on. It is the patterned way of life shared by a particular group of people that claim to share a single origin or descent in an attempt to capture the exhaustive nature of African. So we need to create a lot of platform as traditional leaders through our communities, try to educate our young people of who they are.
Understood. And also with the youth, it is also their responsibility to seek that knowledge, to seek that information. Given the means of communication that they have, I also strongly believe that it's also into their best interest that they also seek out their knowledge. And with what you just said, that we do need to create more platforms for them so that we can talk to them a little bit more in an effort of preserving culture. Now, Dr. Garvey did mention a good point as well. Dr. Julius Garvey, he mentioned that, yes, the youth do need to do a little bit more, but we as adults and as elders, we also need to do a little bit more as well. Now, in 2024, are there any such programs, of course, in conjunction with the ARC on African Views? Is there any program that you are particularly excited to embark on in 2024?
Absolutely, absolutely. First and foremost, due to slavery and colonialism, the forces of development that would have arisen from African culture could not take place. Rather, it led to a persistence identity crisis and no meaningful development. While the African culture was developmental and a clear source of policy governing its people, it also shows that extrinsic forces of colonialism and the neo-colonialism are European culture and have raped African political culture to the extent that an African belief that European are well governed more than our own continent as Africa, as Africans. While culture belief are instrumental to development, there has been a shift in Africa belief after the rape. What would have developed a governed in Africa way diverted its course to European development. In fact, if you look at almost most countries in Africa, if not all, were still using the Roman Dutch law. So in Africa, we're still using the foreign policies. So those are the things that as traditional leaders, we need to start making noise about, and that needs to be changed before it is too late.
And what would be your suggestion in terms of changing that? What's your recommendation to fellow African royalty kings? You know, what would you advise them in terms of, okay, this is what we need to do so that we can really induce our own policies as Africans?
My argument will be to say, we are the original people of this land. We are indigenous people. We are leading the mass communities in various countries. So I'm saying there will be nothing. There will be nothing about us without us. There will be nothing about us without us. Hence, I'm saying, as African leaders, as traditional leaders, we need to take a center stage in each and every governing structures to influence the policies, to influence the decisions that are taken there. That's the only thing that will assist us to go back and pick up our pieces where we've fallen.
Great, understood. And I want to get back to, as a means of conclusion here, I want to get back to the day when you went to Suriname on October 10th of 2023. What similarities did you see between South Africa or the Zulu Kingdom and Suriname? Be it the art, the dance, the food, or the culture, what similarities did you see there?
The culture, the spirit of Ubuntu, the unity.
Yes.
And the African mode that we experienced there. In fact, we were tearing. I remember in one of the villages that we visit, amongst the others. And I was very emotional when one resident there stood up and started singing the South African national anthem. And I felt connected, and it was so spiritual. So yes, those are the things that, and you can realize that indeed these people are our own.
Yes. I would ask you to share the national anthem of South Africa with us. Would you like to belt out a couple notes?
I can only give, I'm not a good singer, I can only give one sentence.
Same here.
Africa.
Right.
Maluphakanyisu tumolwayo.
Right.
Izwa imithandazo yethu Nkosi sikelela thina luza
Please stand up and lead. It's going to assist you.
Thank you. I was trying to get you to say my name because part of it says Tina, and in Zimbabwe we have the Shona version. So Nkosi Sikelele we say Ishe Komborerai Africa, which is God bless Africa. Chief Malinga.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Those are the similarities.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And thank you for sharing that story of, you know, how somebody in Suriname was able to stand up and sing the song. And did they sing it in Zulu?
We sang it in Zulu.
That is amazing.
It was so real. I felt like I was in my country in a bigger event, like when we held the Soccer World Cup in 2010. That was the feeling I had.
Amazing. And this is why it's important for the youth to experience this and for them to seek out the knowledge too.
Absolutely. In fact, we need to start influencing our system, starting from the educational system. That we need to teach our kids on things that are relevant. And I must say, what pains me the most is that our own people have lost their own identity.
Greeting to everyone, goeiemiddag. A salutation to all the royal leaders from South Africa, from all over Africa, but a greeting to His Excellency, the Vice President, Mr. Ronnie, and the Crown King.
Megi odi na ala den konu na nga den koningen sa konanga uno presrutu na akoning fui ironi Brunswick ma oktu alas masandeja.
But I would also like to extend my greeting to the people of Suriname.
Misrefi wangi grantangi na desma fu Suriname.
As it has been said, I'm Falendota Malinga from the Zulu Royal Kingdom in South Africa.
Lekfa de Bentakikba mina fu Zulu Kingdom fu South Africa.
We are here from all over Africa, as it has been said.
Undeja fu ala presi fu Africa lekfa abentakikba.
We are here to show our love to the people of Suriname.
Undeja fusor alobi fu uno na desma fu Suriname.
I cannot put it better than the people who have spoken, or the leaders that have spoken before me, that we are one.
Minoman taket trafasilek faden trawasa tak fosmi tak unang nawang.
We were only divided by the system of colonialism.
O alamala o konawang fu a colonisator.
The African continent was not immune to the system.
African continent nobel lip abra gi assistem sa debe abna fesi.
One of the tools that was used to distort people was to deprive them of their identity.
Wan fu de san sa den du fu pratwi na fu make uno sapsuma na uno.
Hence, our year today is to remind you that you are one of our own.
fa unde jatide na unu membre taki unu na wang.
To our county.
So ako nu fui.
The only thing that will survive us
Wansani sa omeki takwota makandra
is when we are united.
na te uspang anu makandra na ngausrefi.
Our unity will be having a founding principle of respect.
Te uhor anu makandra da woshita ki wokis respeki.
For other neighboring countries to respect us, we must first respect ourselves.
Fu ala de kondre sa respeki unu lek fa we respect usrefi.
Hence, we are here to pledge our support to the King and his people to all your endeavors.
Undeja fu hor bakagi ako unu fui ma oktugi unu.
May God bless you all Surinamians.
Make God bless unu ala in Suriname.
Before I take to the stage, I had a little gift for you, my king.
First, mi okmopo fu a podium dami apwang presenti gi akonu fu unu. Ewe aksi akonu fu unu fu gosnapu fu take a presenti disi. En akonu fu unu ekis moi sani fu dentra konu sa de Suriname. This nawa presenti sa michagiyo.
But before I also take off to the podium, I have a little gift for a queen mother.
En first mi okba dami apwan presenti oktu gi amama fu akonu fu unu.
And they also do need to get direction as well in terms of navigating back to the roots, and this is really our job as well, with the African views, with the art, with the different platforms. Chief Malinga, any last words?
Nothing much except that I will again appreciate the work that is done by Dr. Wale. And I'm wishing him all the best as we embark on this journey in 2024. And we hope that there will be great achievement throughout the year. So we pray for the best. Let us soldier on.
Thank you so much, Chief Malinga, and thank you for your presence. Thank you for taking the time out of your evening, and we really appreciate you. And we look forward to speaking with you again with everything that you said is going to be happening this year. But we appreciate you, Chief. Thank you.
Most definitely. Thank you.